And we're gonna get it back. You know, they were coming in and I would love that. 5 years.
Okay, folks, one thing before we get started, we can't take this home with us, so eat. And if you need more sugar, there's lots of it back here on the table, so just help yourself after the meeting. As you can see, I don't need it. Support.
Calling the question.
I think he moved to adjourn.
Yes, sir.
I think that's
Ready, Jim?
Kids kind of.
Good evening. We'll call the regular session of the Board of Commissioners, Tuesday, December 17th to order. And we just had a public hearing at 6:30 and did the pledge in our moment of silence, so we'll skip right down to roll call.
Please make sure you have your mics on. Commissioner O'Rourke.
Present.
Commissioner Rexroth.
Present.
Chairman Russell.
Here.
Commissioner Ross. Here. Commissioner Eldar.
Here.
Commissioner Lautner. Present. All present.
And we have a proposed agenda. We would like to add the agreement with our new administrator as item number 1 under the action items.
First, we do the approval of board minutes.
We should do that, shouldn't we?
Maybe.
Yeah, we have a long list.
Yes.
We have a very long list. Do I have a motion on any of the minutes?
I would move to approve the minutes as presented.
1 through 13. right?
1 through 13.
Support.
All those in support of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion approved. Thank you.
Thank you. That's quite a lot of work right there.
Yes,
Thank you.
a lot of minutes. And then we have the agenda now, and I'd like to propose it under action item. Our first item be our agreement with our new administrator.
I would move to approve the agenda as amended.
Support. All those in support of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Motion approved, 6-0. We are now down to administrator update.
Couple of updates. One, I know we talked in the past about having a special session on December the 30th. What day? Just Monday, December the 30th. We have 4 items to discuss: budget amendments, fund transfers, claims and accounts, approval of any final minutes, and then last but not least, a possible closed session regarding negotiations. What we need, I have here that I'd like to have 3 commissioners sign this, and so that we can get that set for you. As it relates to the last item, it's there. We may have to do that, we may not, but at least it leaves an option open for us to do so. So if I can get 3 signatures, we don't have to hunt you down next week. So there you go. The second item, Antrim County resolution. I have on your desk a resolution that we received in the mail as it relates to Antrim County's wanting to be removed from the Tri-County District Court system. They've renewed their resolution in their desire to do so. There's nothing we need to do about that now. As I reported at our last meeting, and so the chair, we're leaving the lead to Grand Traverse County in that they have the lead financially of what will happen if this happens. If this moves forward, and of course, we'll follow that, but our worst case scenario of exposure is about $20,000, a little more than that. But we'll just wait until that process works out. Last but not least, I am preparing a letter to the Leelanau Township as relates to the tower, trying to set a final date when their planning commission will take action one way or the other as it relates to our application. Under state law, they have 90 days from when our original application was approved. It's been several months, but we would rather that they take actions instead of us having a permit by default. We'd rather that they take the action one way or the other instead of us doing that. So we're giving it more than 90 days, but I'll be sending the letter tomorrow and make sure y'all get copies of what we're requesting. So other than that, we got a couple of presentations, and our first one is going to be an update from Broadband. I don't know. Well, look, you're up on the screen. So we have Mr. Chris Sharp, Chris Share, who's our consultant on the job, and we have Mr. Nick DePonzio. I hope I had that correct. Okay, good. Thank you very much. Who is just got appointed as the Director of Construction for Point Broadband. I've been in contact with him, and so is Chris. So hopefully they'll be able to give you an update on what's taking place. As we know that cabinet number 14 is the one that is struggling just a little bit, but it's mainly through the Eagles permit process. Of course, it's also the property or the land up there is probably the most sensitive that you have in Leelanau County as it relates to making sure we do everything correctly up there. With that, I'll just turn it over to these two gentlemen. You got it. Take it from there.
Thanks,
Good to
Richard.
see you tonight, Chris.
Good to see you, Ty. Gwen, how are
We
you?
got to turn it up somehow. Okay.
Yeah, we wanted to join you tonight and just provide an update on where things are at. Nick DePonzio has joined Point Broadband. It was my understanding his title is Chief Construction Officer. I guess correct.
As duties are assigned, right, Chris? As
What's
duties
that?
are assigned.
So anyway, he is getting up to speed, but I think he's got a pretty good handle on where we're at today, and I wanted to really give him the floor for you guys, open up questions and answers, and just kind of give you a snapshot on where we're at today.
Thanks, Chris. Good evening, commissioners. Good to be here. Thanks for the opportunity. So, Richard, yes, we touched base last week, talked through a couple items. Just to update, cabinet 13 was the most recent cabinet we just launched, and beginning installs there. Cabinet 11 as well, so right behind that. So those two cabinets are up and running and starting installs. As Richard mentioned, cabinet 14 is one that we're looking to get out of the gate by the end of year. We've got currently 80% of the construction's complete. We've been working through some Eagle permitting issues. Our folks up there met with Robin out of Eagle last Thursday on 12/12. So they worked through some issues, one of them being the size of the area that was being excavated in order for us to place our vaults. And there was a section identified as 20 by 40. That's not what's required. So we aligned with Robin from Eagle. Just a 5 by 5 section is required in those areas in order for us to place our vaults. So we've cleared that up, and we also had our contractor involved in that discussion. So what we've also done is Robin from Eagle has that Eagle permit for cab 14 in hand. One of the items that was identified as well is where we're performing constructions in those areas as they designate as, let me see here, the sensitive areas or critical dune areas, as we call them, and has a slope rating of 1 to 4 grade or above. That's an area that we've been asked to provide a PE stamp and a sealed site plan for those specific areas. So we've engaged our engineering firm, and they are working through those for the last piece of that cabinet 14. And Richard, you asked me about the lighthouse last week. That would include the ability to go serve the lighthouse. So let me pause there in terms of those cabinet updates, specifically the latest on cab 14.
Let me jump in for the commissioners' benefit, we don't have a map in front of us today. Cabinet 11 is kind of south of Sutton's Bay, south of Duck Lake Road, heading over towards Centerville. Cabinet 13 is north of there from about the Omena Peninsula across to Leland. And then Cabinet 14 starts to pick up somewhere around Northport and goes the rest of the way north. So just to kind of visualize the three cabinets he mentioned. Everything, if you draw kind of a line from Northport over to Christmas Cove, everything south of there, with a couple of exceptions down in Bingham, Bingham Township, is lit, and they're working on marketing and installing in those areas. It's the area north of Northport that is the concern right now. Hopefully that helps a little.
So, like I said, we would hope that it was all going to be completed by the end of this year, but they've got 80% completed. And when we entered into the agreement, I think it was when they started to go for the permits with Eagle, and it was a little bit more sensitive than we had planned, but it should be a quick, at least the way I understand it, once the weather permit gets proper again, we can finish the installation. Sounds like they can make a quick work of it in the spring. So in the spring, you'll have 3 final cabinets to complete, which is in the southern part of the county. So hopefully by next September, you'll be complete with this project. So as per our agreement.
Correct,
That
Richard.
fair
Yep, that's the
enough?
plan. Yep. So end of year will be out of the 3522 homes passed related to the grant. We're targeting 3,173 to be complete year end. That leaves us about 350 locations to be completed in 25. And as you stated, we're targeting to complete that, weather permitting. We did see the previous 2 weeks, we did have some shutdowns in terms of weather. You all know it better than I. You're there. We had inability to work on some roads due to the plows and that, so our contractors weren't able to work there. But they are working today. I'll tell you that we have had some of the contractors. We are at 9 to 10 crews. We're at 3 to 4, so we're balancing those now based on those weather conditions. But we continue to work. But that is the plan: is to have those 3 cabinets completed as weather permits in 25.
Commissioner Ogard?
I just want to say that when we're done covering point, I will have a question.
We should have known you were going to make that comment.
Of course.
Any other question for Hoyt?
I have one for Chris. Chris, we all get questions from people that are curious. We've gone through quite a transition on point people. Are communications between residents and the marketing people, the install people, are they going well?
For the most part, yeah. We've had a couple that I've needed to try to get a response to, and I think Kevin has done a pretty good job of following up with those once I've contacted them. I don't have a real feel for where the breakdown is. I know we've had some concerns with phone numbers, Nick, being able to contact customer support directly. But yeah, I think we're caught up with the calls that we've had.
Thank you. Any other questions for Chris or for Nick? Yes, Gwen.
So Chris, any news on the bead grant?
The bead map has been launched as of last week. I'm actually, it's on my screen right now. I'm working on assessing exactly where all of the eligible parcels are left in the western townships. The application window opens January 9th. So I should have a good handle on making sure that the bead map aligns with what we know is unserved over there, so that we get whoever's going to respond to those applications, make sure that they've got a complete list. We do know that Brightspeed is interested. Obviously, Charter is interested. I've not really had any conversations with Point about going into the Western Townships. Other than preliminarily earlier this year, we were talking about it, and it is kind of spread out. So it's a little bit challenging for somebody that doesn't have a local presence in the Western Townships to go in and service it, because they're going to have to do a lot of build to get there. But by January 9th, we'll have a much clearer picture of what needs to be applied for, and make sure that the MyHigh office knows that their system is complete, or their map is complete enough that they're going to capture everybody.
Okay, I will call you because of course I keep hearing from people. So just to make sure you've got their roads on your map. So thank you for your work on that. And just so everyone knows, Point is doing a fabulous job of getting people hooked up, but we still have people in the western side of the county who are waiting. So there is another federal grant, Broadband Equity Access Deployment Fund is coming. And we appreciate having Chris working for us to get those funds.
That grant is designed to be the last stop for making sure everybody in the country has access to high-speed internet services. So it's the MyHigh office's job to make sure that every single last unserved residents, small business in the state of Michigan is in this plan. So they've got a lot of work ahead of them. My job is just to make sure that we know, or they know exactly what areas are unserved. They've got a map. It's pretty close. I've seen some areas that are a little bit off, but we'll make sure that they've got the list correct, and the MyHigh office will get to work and make sure somebody's providing service for it.
Thank you. So Chris's work is invaluable to this process, and we're still going to need you next year to help complete. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Chris. Chris, thanks for all your work. We couldn't have done it, couldn't do it without you. And you and I have been on the phone how many times in the last month? So it's always a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you.
Anytime.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Commissioner.
Nick.
Have a good evening.
And
Thank you.
And thank you to Point for all of your work.
Much appreciated. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, everyone.
We now have Mr. Walters here from our Blue Cross Blue Shield. Hi, Lou.
Hello, guys. Well, when we did this plan originally, every year, huh?
Have a seat.
When we did this plan originally, every year I'd come and the sky was falling and it never fell. Till this year. You guys had a chance to look at some numbers last week. Sorry I couldn't be here, but family comes first. So the health plan of Leelanau County financially had a great year in 24. The stop loss pool you belong to had what they consider a disaster in 24. It has created an opportunity for us to get our feet back under us. This thing is almost 20 years old, and we literally have been operating on almost the same budget every year. The employees helped, soft costs, they help hold them down. They used pharmaceuticals pretty much appropriately until this year. I don't know what happened. Better advertising, have no idea. We expected this thing to cost 2.2 million. Our actual cost was 1.8. We came in $457,000 under what we expected. How did that happen? Most of it was the fact the stop loss pool got hit so hard that it sucked up some of the medical costs too. Because once those people hit that 20,000, you guys are out of it. So what's happened is we are under budget. And now we have to decide what we're going to do for next year. We could do nothing. We could let them use the drug cost list that the employees were shown. I told them you can have this, or you can have your health plan. You cannot do both unless you guys are willing to pony up $400,000 to $600,000 extra. That would be the hole we got to fill. Can we come up with something in the middle? I think we can. And one of the things that we talked about with the employees was, number one, they need to help. Because something happened this year that I have never seen happen. The stop loss pool got hit for $1.9 million. 1.4 of it was drugs. Our usual stop loss contribution runs somewhere around 500,000. We usually take out 3 to 7, goes back and forth. Everybody's happy. This year, however, because of that hit, that is not a savings account. That is not an investment account. That is not a loan, kind of, but they want that money back. So this year, for the first time, they raised our hard cost, something we cannot control. They increased it by 37%, which comes out to about $335,000. Do that by 3, that's $1 million. That's the shortfall. They want it back. So our dilemma is to hold the line and let those 3 years play out, and then we're back to even. Our medical loss ratio right now is over 100%. That means we took out way more than we put into this thing. So talked to the employees, gave them some ideas. Several of them responded through email and gave us some ideas back. They are engaged. However, this year, only 30% of the employees came to the meeting. That means 60% of them out there don't have a clue of what could be coming down the hill. So when I talked to Richard about this, the presentation we made to them was, he called it a shot across the bow. Hey guys, wake up. If we're not in this together anymore, then you guys start having to make some decisions. So because we have a new administrator who I hope to meet, we were kind of holding back a little bit because we wanted him or her, whoever it was, to be involved in some of these decisions. The health plan has never been a part of your negotiations. There was no reason for it. Well, it's going to start being part of it now. So there's some things we can do, one of which I feel, just talk to Richard, put it to you guys. We have one more meeting in January before our renewal February 1st. I've put together a list of 5-tier drug cards. Right now, the employees here have a 1040 drug card, unlimited, no formulary, and they have used it well. This last year, that fell apart. So a 5-tier drug card, the way it works is instead of 1040, we'd be probably looking at 20, 40, 80, 25%, 25%. All of these drugs are gonna be at 25%. Which can get rather expensive for an employee. We'll put a limit on it, 200, 300, 500. So they don't get smacked with all of it. The thing that I explained to the employees though, is if we don't get this under control and you guys have to start go looking for the amount of money I talked about, they're going to participate. They're either going to participate with higher deductibles, $100 deductible right now, probably looking at minimum 2,400, 600 out of pocket. We're probably looking at close to 5,000. If we do the drug card, the ones that are using it could be, if you went to the extreme, $500 every time they bought one of these things. Ouch. Some of the other things that taking money out of their paycheck. Long ago, when they got good at helping us hold the cost down, you eliminated their contributions. They might have to come back. And if they come back because of a couple of things in the state house right now, we may not have an option. It's going to be 20% of the cost of the health plan. They could be looking at anywhere from $200 to $600 out of their paychecks every month. So everybody here has a huge incentive to let's figure this thing out. And that $400,000 that we were under in budget, we are going to use it next year. It's just how we use it and what it creates for the following year, because that's when the real hammer is going to fall. Or the sky isn't falling. That's my vote. But we need help. Blue Cross is stepping forward. They've got a whole bunch of programs they're willing to help with. They've got us in some additional coupon programs. We might start limiting where if they're going to buy these, it's limited to certain places, Walgreens, whatever. I don't know which ones they're using right now, but we might have to do that. We might, well, we're not, might, out of it. 1-1, no more single-use drugs for weight loss, ED, erectile dysfunction, or smoking. No more. You want to use Wegovy? Not part of your plan. This is not you guys making that decision. This is the insurance industry making this decision. No more. If you're going to be on a dual purpose drug, Ozempic, you're going to have to prove you need it for A1C. You're not going to be able to sneak around like they've done for the last 2 years, actually writing it for weight loss. Not going to happen. Okay. So the industry's stepping up to help you guys a little bit too. Why are these lifestyle drugs so, I hate to say bad, but they're bad. If you go on as Ozempic, I guarantee you will lose weight. I guarantee you the day you quit taking it, you will gain that weight back and more. That's the way it works. I would never touch Ozempic with a 10-foot pole. A bad drug has a 5% reaction rate with people. Ozempic has a 33 attack on liver. The minute you take that drug, they're checking your liver every month. That's how bad that thing is. So we have one drug that was extremely expensive. And I don't mind that drug at all for this health plan because it does something specific. It saves somebody's life. Kuvan is a metabolic balancer. Without it, you will die. So I don't have a problem with those kind of drugs. Some of these other ones, I kind of do. So my proposal to you right now is we make no decisions for a month. I will get you a list of some tiers to look at. We can talk about it. I would be happy to come out and talk with the employees again to go through this. Some of them wanted to be, Blue Cross said focus groups work really well in some of these bigger groups. So, if we want to talk through what they want to see, the biggest thing is we don't want to end up pitting one against the other. That has been my biggest fear. Because obviously we had 49 stop loss claims out of 100. That's a lot. Usually we were talking about Jen and I, and it's been 4 or 5 to go there. Whoa, what happened? So, personally, when I first saw this, I was like, this looks like a good time to retire. But then when I started going through it, I see an opportunity here. We can re-educate your employees who really are fairly educated. They understand the language, they understand the process. Somehow we just got off track. But I think we can do a lot to get through our net year and not face the hammer the next year if we can get them back on board with, we've always had a kind of a ad hoc policy, none of the newest and best, latest and greatest. And the biggest problem we have with this list right here, they came off a drug that was working, a much cheaper drug that was working. And if you go through what these things do, it's not that they work better or solve the problem, it's they're more convenient to use. Instead of taking 2 pills a day and feeling queasy, you can stab yourself in the leg for the cost of what it was, $8,000 a month. Okay, so
I think as we've talked before, from what the employees, or at least my presentation to them, you can go online and you'll see how my presentation was that we do not want to have to change the plan or have to start making major changes for the employees having to have things taken out of their paycheck yet, but we had a year to figure it out. And most of the employees, or at least when I was in the room for the one session, thought that having a hard look at the tiered drug plan was a way to go for the next year to see how it does. So with your permission, and of course we have new commissioners coming on, we want to introduce that tiered drug plan to the employees. And by the regular meeting, we'll have a decision of how we want to go for the next year and try to get it back on track for 1 year. If it doesn't work, then we'll have to go to other means, but that'll be down the road. So unless there's a major objection to trying to do that, we think we need to give it a shot. So,
Commissioner Leonard?
Yeah, just to recap, so right now our employees pay nothing out of their paycheck for their premiums, correct?
they
Pay nothing out of their
No.
paycheck for the premiums.
No.
Healthcare is
free.
$100
Yep.
deductible.
Unheard of.
And
If I have a question about your plan, somebody has to physically go into the archives to get it.
yeah, and then obviously what you've been talking about, the prescriptions. So this is an alarming place for Leelanau County to be because we have, well, the only plan. We're the only ones who have this plan, and it's a good plan.
Yeah.
And to find it being jeopardized is really too bad. So if we do a 5-tier prescription, try it for 25. See if that can right the balance. If not, it will be looking at something towards a premium more than likely to help make up that difference.
Yeah, I mean, I can wipe out the $335,000, call it a sanction you got in your hard cost right now. All you have to do is go to $50,000 stop loss from a 20.
So we have only a month.
cost you more money,
Yeah, it costs, yeah.
quite a bit.
Mhm.
It puts the county more at risk, and once again, if we did it, those employees got to get on board.
We heard today from our HR person that she's been hearing a lot of staff support for the 5-tier system.
Okay,
you're recommending that we put this on the January agenda and relook at it.
But I'm hoping also to have enough information that we can present it to the employees before final approval by the county commission in early January.
That's, okay, that's what I was going to say, this is 4 short weeks, so,
We'll have to move quickly.
yes.
Yeah, but I'll be here. I'm not going anywhere. So,
I'm
like I
not
said,
either. Right now, I realize I'm not either, so there you go. So,
Yeah.
I'll get it done.
yep. But I'd be happy to come out and sit with whoever we need to sit with, because they at least need to hear the story.
That's right.
Because if you guys come down with a hammer on them and they go, "Oh, what are you talking about? What happened?" That's not gonna go.
We need to give it a fair shake and a fair try. So.
Yeah.
So we will see you back in January.
All right,
So,
if not before.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Lou.
What fun, huh, guys? We never had to do this. It's kind of exciting, huh?
Good, Lou.
Not at all.
At this point, we have our first public comment opportunity. Anything on the agenda, you have 3 minutes to speak to. If you'd like to address the board, please let us know by raising your hand and we'll call on you. Yes, Alex.
I'll be very, very short. I understand you have a contract that you're looking at. This is probably, you guys probably already got this figured out talking to Jennifer, but in a capsulated edition, I saw it mentioned personnel days. And I just want to make sure that with the legislation going through on sick days, that doesn't come on top of those. So just make sure the wording takes in the sick days that are probably going to be required of employers later on. Or have that part of the discussion.
It's going to be approved tonight. It's on the
Well,
agenda.
but
I'll get to it. Okay.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Any commissioner comment? I wanted to make one, we had an awful lot of residents sign up and volunteer for committees, commissions, and boards. We thank you all. We didn't spend a whole lot of time at the table here going through all that material because we had a big thick book of applications from our administrator that we all looked at before our last meeting. But we did, and we're going to be taking action on it later today during the consent agenda. We did make those appointments. We sure appreciate everybody's willingness to serve. We had a couple of commissions, boards that we did not fill because of the lack of applicants. So we did, we're reaching out and listing those for a later date. And but we just wanted to thank you and let you know that we appreciate your interest. We do have a long-standing tradition of trying to limit any one person to no more than 3 terms, consecutive terms on a committee, and that's so that we can expand the opportunity for everybody else. We also have the kind of unwritten rule, but policy that if you've served on a committee or a department for 1 term and done it well and attended and represented the county well, we try to give you another opportunity to serve on that board. So thank you very much. Thank you very much. At this point, we are down to our consent agenda, and I'd like to read you something on that. The purpose of the consent agenda is to expedite business by grouping non-controversial items together to be dealt with by one motion without discussion. Any commissioner may ask that any item on the consent agenda be removed and placed elsewhere on the agenda for full discussion. Such request will be automatically respected and will not need a second. Anybody want to take anything off the consent agenda? Could I have a motion? Yes.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
All those in support of that motion say aye.
Aye.
I need a roll call on this one.
Oh, yes, we need a roll call. There's a couple things that. need a
Okay,
roll call.
thank you.
Okay, sorry.
Commissioner Rexroth,
Yes.
Commissioner Ross,
Yes.
Chairman Wessel,
Yes.
Commissioner Alguier,
Yes.
Commissioner Lautner,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Rourke.
Yes.
6-0, thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
We now down to our administrator search, and we have Richard Lewis to kick us off here.
Well, I'm gonna make this easy. I'm gonna kick it off to Chet Jennings.
Okay.
Nice hand,
That was hard.
nice handoff.
Well, right. I hope he doesn't fumble it.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis, for that great introduction.
You're lucky I didn't say what I was going to say.
We've known each other for too long for that.
Yeah.
Just an overview, as you know, last Thursday you had a special meeting, and by a 6-0 vote, you authorized the chairman and vice chairman to enter into contract negotiation with Mr. Dyer to become the next county administrator. And so we started a dialogue Thursday afternoon. And so my job was to act as a mediator between the two sides. We had very productive discussions starting Thursday afternoon through the weekend. And pleased to announce that this morning we have come up with verbal contract terms. I put those in writing to the county attorney, and all of you were copied on that. And he graciously, very quickly turned that around. It helped that the terms for contracts for administrators are pretty standard. And I've done 4 searches this past year in different counties. And I just completed one in November, so I took that contract that was written by Bonnie Toski and just changed the name from Leelanau on the terms. And so Matt North was able to look at it and turn around quickly, so that's why you have it here. And you all have a copy of his email with the proposed motion. Let me just go over briefly over some of the major issues. It's a 1-year contract, as you know, by law, by Michigan law. The year that of an election of new commissioners, if a contract is entered into after August 1st, it can be a 1-year contract. So it's a 1-year contract. Starting date is March 31st. Several of you have asked why March 31st. Mr. Dyer, who's actually here in the back room, and I'll ask him to come up here, has an employment contract with the village of Northport that has a 90-day clause in it, opt-out clause in it. So assuming he gives notice, we originally thought this contract would be approved December 30th or 31st. So that's why the March 31st day, assuming that Mr. Dyer gives notice, in theory, could start the 90-day clock earlier and could potentially start a week or 2 earlier than March 31st. The way the contract is, that date is subject to change. Both parties can agree to a different date. But if there's no agreement, first day will be March 31st. And that will allow Mr. Dyer to complete his obligations to the village of Northport. The starting salary was posted at a range between $110,000 and $140,000, and the recommended amount is $127,000 per year. Vacation days, 25 vacation days, which is the same as I believe the last 4 administrators in Leelanau County had. 12 personal days is the same as the last several county administrators. The $300 per month vehicle allowance is the same as previous administrators. One change is Mr. Dyer would prefer not to be in the MERS retirement system. I know that's legal because 2 other contracts I've done with Cole Sturker have that clause in there. And we agree that the county will contribute 9% of Mr. Dyer's salary to a non-MERS retirement plan of his choice. This actually is, as Mr. Lewis pointed out, probably a win for the county because there's no long-term liability to that. And then 9% is probably less than the cost to Leelanau County as part of the MERS program. And so that's why that's in the contract. There is a 6-month buyout if the agreement is terminated without cause by the commissioners within the first year of employment. However, it's 6 months or the amount left in the contract. So in the unlikely event, and I don't see this happening, if for some reason there's a separation between Mr. Dyer and the commissioners at the choice of the commissioners, he would be entitled for 6 months payment, assuming there's 6 months left in the contract. If there's 4 months left in the contract, it'd be 4 months payment. Assuming there's a renewal of a contract after that period, the buyout would be 90 days or 3 months, which has been the standard amount in the past contracts. And it's pretty much standard for most administrators in Michigan. So that's just a brief overview. All of you have a copy of the detailed contract. You have a proposed motion for Mr. Norford, and Mr. Dyer is here. If he'd like to say anything, I don't put you in a spot, but do you have any comments? And I think people would like to know who you are here, and won't you come on up here?
I'd just like to say that I appreciate the confidence that you've expressed with me with that your unanimous vote. And we're glad that we made the move. My wife and I are glad we made the move to Leelanau County to make this possible. So thank you very much. And I appreciate Mr. Janik and Commissioners Rexroth and Wessel to negotiate the contract, and we got it done much quicker than I think we expected. So thank you very much for that.
And are you relieved?
Yeah, well, what, you haven't voted yes yet. Wait till you make your vote. Your motion is on page number 6 of your sheet. At the bottom, item number 3, late addition. So if you'll just do that motion.
I move that the Leelanau County.
Thank you. There's 2 typos in the employment agreement. Page 5, section 8B. And page 6, section 9B, private, this Branch County.
I'm sure Mr. Norford can get that changed. I drafted that and gave it to Matt. I assumed his staff would have caught all those errors, but
Okay,
they must have not, but we can make that.
not on mine, so, okay.
That's what happens when you do it quickly.
Warren County.
Excuse me, are you looking at the email from me or the one from Mr. Norford's contract?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm not sure which one you have a copy of, but that can be changed quickly.
Commissioner Rose?
I move that the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners approve the Leelanau County Administrator Employment Agreement as presented in the late addition to the board packet, and authorize the board chairman to sign the agreement approved as to form by the county's legal counsel.
Support.
Any discussion? Commissioner Lautner?
Yes, today, Mr. Norford said we might add a little bit of language should we choose. If there's any possibility that you would come in sooner than 90 days from now. So.
I believe there's a clause, I don't have it in front of me, that says March 31st or a date that both sides agreed to.
Okay, again, I'm not sure that maybe we've got 2 different contracts, maybe that's been added to that one, so.
I couldn't find that language either, and we discussed it.
Okay.
We did discuss that, and if that's at all possible, certainly, but
Okay, we would just amend the contract at that time.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
so we'll make sure that we work with the attorney and have that language in there.
It's in there in like 3 places, the actual dates, so,
Yeah.
okay, very good.
That's a mutual understanding of the parties anyway, so that's.
true.
Any other questions? Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We got a vote first.
You get to say that after we vote. Could we have a roll call?
I'm not gonna say it twice.
Commissioner Ross,
Yes.
Chairman Wessel,
Yes.
Commissioner Elguyer,
Yes.
Commissioner Lautner,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Rourke,
Yes.
Commissioner Rexroth.
Yes.
6-0.
Now I'm relieved.
Well, support.
I'll work with Mr. Norford and make those changes. You have to remember not to make excuses. We met this morning, got done around 9:30. I called Mr. Norford. We tried to get something done in time for this meeting. Because if we didn't do them today, it'd be December 31st. So there may be, thank you for bringing out the Branch County. That was the model contract used. We can get that changed. And we'll make sure there's a clause in there that says a mutual, before Mr. Wessel signs it, we'll have a clause in there that's mutually
And
agreed
to
upon.
defend that, we kept him busy this afternoon as well.
Well, he did say, yeah, so both Matt and I had busy days, but we want to get something out to you as soon as possible.
You did well, Chad.
No, thank you.
Thank you, Chad.
And Mr. Dyer, just as you said this morning, not only do you have the support of this current board, but you have the support of incoming commissioners. So welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, we are now down to the Leelanau Health Department agreement on early childhood services. Kathy?
Well, again, we have an agreement, agreement with the Leelanau County Department, Health Department, to provide early childhood services agreement. This agreement requires that every year the health department has to come before you. I think what is in early summer or somewhere in that ballpark to outline their scope of work for the coming year. And then after that, with given the budget, you will then have to make a determination what the millage rate will be to support that, just like you did this year. You have the scope of work. You establish a millage rate, which was less than the maximum that could have been allowed because you didn't need that. The 6-year agreement is in coincides also with the approved millage of 6 years. It also has in there a 90-day, I think it has a 90-day clause that if either party decides they want to not continue that, they have 90 days that you could terminate the agreement. So we are recommending that you proceed with this agreement and put it into place. Kathy, did I cover it?
You did a great job.
Okay.
Commissioner O'Donnell?
I would move that the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners approve the agreement for early childhood health services for Leelanau County by the Benzie Leelanau District Health Department for the period of January 1, 2025 to December 31, 2030, with funds to come from Fund number 280. Support.
Any questions? And we do have our health officer in the audience if we have questions, and we have Michelle Klein here. Any questions?
And sent a statement. I objected in executive to the length of the contract, so that is my objection. For reasons stated.
All those, we have a motion. Are we ready to vote? All those in support of that motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion approved 5-1. Thank you.
I would like to thank them for their work with their children and for our future.
We now have our Solutions for You contract.
Yes, it was placed on your shelf there as a separate cover. It's an amendment to the original agreement. And we do have the owner, Luann Fordyce, or West Fordyce here, if we have questions for her. Basically, it is to incorporate and amend the wording in the original document of cleaning the shredding room, which is now a build out of office space occupied by Benzie Leelanau Health. And it is extending the contract by 2 years through 27. Currently, we receive invoices for the build out, and we're just incorporating it into the contract.
Well, I have a motion. Yes.
I would move that the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners approve an extension and amendment to the current contract with Solutions for You LLC as outlined, authorizing the chairman to sign the contract upon review and approval by legal counsel.
Support.
Any discussion? All those in support of that motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion approved 6-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good job.
Now
And you-
it's a cake
and
now
you-
and go.
You may go, and you always make us
That's the way I'm-
look so clean around here.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much. I appreciate all you do.
Thank you.
And I was serious.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We now have the Brownfield Authority, and Kathy, you want to speak to that?
Sure. It has been an item of discussion at the Brownfield Authority for most of the year. And it is regarding the forfeited funds from the Kelly Varley sale that have been retained by the Brownfield. The chairman has been investigating and given us the task of reading minutes and going back to resolution 8 of 2008, number 26, where those proceeds would be transferred to the general fund of Leelanau County. So we were asking for clarification. and I've done a little synopsis of options for you. And that would be to adopt a resolution to rescind a portion of resolution 8 of, number 8 of, or 2008. It's 8-026, which we have drafted to allow the brownfield to retain the forfeited proceeds if you so choose. If you don't want to do that, you could uphold the resolution 8-026 and direct me to record the payable, which has not been put on the books, and we need to put this on, as a payable to Leelanau County in the amount of the net proceeds and calculated interest earned to be paid back to the county. And the brownfield would like you to consider options of terms if you determine that you want that to happen. Their first option that they discussed would be to defer payment to the county until sufficient TIF revenue is collected from the courthouse property to replenish the unrestricted cash reserves of the brownfield. And this is because the brownfield made 3 payments from its cash reserves when TIF revenue was not sufficient to cover the DEQ note. They would like to replenish their reserves and then pay the county back. Or another option would be equal installments over a period of 3 years, beginning in 25. Or there's always the option of asking them to pay you in full, which we don't recommend because they need cash reserves to pay out expenses from unrestricted cash. They can't use restricted cash on their current EPA loan. And it would be very similar to Land Bank, where they had to pay a vendor, submit for reimbursement, get the money back, and they didn't have the cash reserves, and they asked you for $400,000. And then they did get the money, and it was repaid to you today. So there are options, and brownfield they just don't have a lot of cash reserves, and they have $150,000 remaining in their EPA grant.
Commissioner Leonard and then Commissioner McGurk.
A couple of questions. How much remaining in the EPA grant?
150. Originally, the expiration date of that grant is September of 25. They indicate today there is a possibility to extend it for a year into 26, but we just discussed it as a possibility.
When will the TIF revenue, when do they think they would have enough TIF revenue to pay this to us if we wait, if we defer?
Well, TIF revenue, it does depend on the build outs of the properties, and I think 4 of 6 are built. They do have a tiered system where they do have to pay, there's a hierarchy of payments to be made. So they would, there is a schedule, I believe, that the chairman has worked out, but he was looking more of paying over 3 installments in his schedule, I think, but they would prefer to wait. They would like to build their coffers up first.
I understand that. So, they made 3 payments, and do we know what the cost of those 3 payments were?
Yes, it was about $70,000. There were 3 payments. They were about $25,000 to $29,000 a piece, I believe, when the TIF revenue was not sufficient.
Okay, and how much interest was collected on the 100,000 over that term?
That we haven't calculated yet.
Oh, you haven't calculated that yet?
Yeah.
Okay. I think there needs to be some kind of a, I hate to say compromise, I don't like the word, but trying to find that balance, like, so that they're paid back for their investment minus interest earned on dollars that should have come right to Leelanau County instead of brownfield. I understand their need for working capital at the same time, but that should be accounted for. So I'm not opposed to the installments, over 2025, if they can still make their EPA grant payment in time, or even longer, just as long as at some point it does come back to the county coffers.
And when you were our representative on the Land Bank and Brownfield Authority, and I think they had a meeting today.
We had a meeting this morning and we talked about this for a long time. This money was just kind of floating. It wasn't on any book for years. We have had the advantage of having a CPA as head of Brownfield. He is now stepping down. The county got basically a free 17-year audit of the Brownfield books, which is pretty amazing. He identified this money and the fact that we need to have a home for it and have it written down. Just to correct some information that's floating out there, I did understand today that we did make about $465,000 on the Farley Exchange. We did not lose money. The county did not lose money.
Yep, the Satterwhite.
But if this money is paid back right now, Brownfield will have $10,000. And that's not enough working capital. We're actively trying to get people to access the remaining EPA funding. So while we could do, installments, it would be helpful if Brownfield could hold the money. We are actively trying to get people to use this last $150,000 and talk about a reasonable repayment plan, given what we have before us.
Mr. Lewis, you were at that meeting.
I wasn't there for that part, I had other things, but I think the equal installments, I think would be the plan for the equal installments over the period of 3 years, but the payment doesn't have to be made until November of each year. That way you go through most of the calendar year, the fiscal year, hopefully you have enough cash to carry you through for the next year. And if something comes up, then it could be brought back to the county commission to update where they are at that point. You can make another determination whether you need to hold it. But at least that way you have some game plan instead of just leaving it open. So, but I'm
Except that at the end of 3 years, we have no idea if we will.
well, that's why I'm saying that in November of every year, you make that determination. That's why I'm suggesting you hold off till the end of the year that the payment has to be made. And then if for some reason the cash flow is not working, then the finance department, brings it back to the board and says, okay, here's where we are, but it's a constant update. And if they wanted to say, okay, hold off, we'll start the next payment in the next year. But at least there's a constant update being done every year, and not just assuming everything's going to work.
And reevaluation.
And a reevaluation.
Mr. Retro.
That's fine.
I would move that the County Board of Commissioners uphold resolution.
Wait, let me ask one question. Kathy, does that work?
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, we
Well,
just wanted,
hold off.
we wanted to know what you wanted to do.
What about this?
That was if you wanted to rescind a portion.
Commissioner Retro.
Would move that the County Board of Commissioners uphold resolution 08-026. Direct the finance director to record the payable to Leelanau County in the amount of the net proceeds and calculated interest earned be paid back to the county with the following terms. Term B equals installments over a period of 3 years beginning in November of 2025.
Reviewed and determined every year.
That goes without saying. It could be reviewed January 10th.
Commissioner Lautner.
Well, to recap and to be clear, when we marketed that property, one city block on the river in Leland, within the village of Leland, we were told we would get 2.2 million for that property. It was mismanaged from the very beginning. Not only did we not get 2.2, they tried to market it as affordable housing. ended up accidentally giving the property away, at which point the county had to buy the property back for $600,000. If in the very end, we ended up with $460,000, we lost money on that property. It's an absolute crime that that's all the county got for that property. Absolute crime. We had to buy it back, and absolute,
I don't believe that was what you said. You said, bottom line, we made.
you say 460,000 for, I'm just making a point, for a city block in Leland on the river.
It was, we did have a crash.
Oh, no, that's not what I lost.
Okay,
There's a motion.
I think we had a motion on the floor and any questions on the motion on the floor? Okay, I think we need to do a roll call on this, Jen.
Okay.
Commissioner Rexroth,
Yes.
Commissioner Ross. Yes. Chairman Wessel,
Yes.
Commissioner Eldire,
Yes.
Commissioner Lautner,
Yes.
Commissioner O'Rourke.
Yes.
6-0.
And I'm sure the Brownfield will appreciate the direction. We're happy to put this to bed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
And thank Mike Workmeyer, my assistant finance director, who read all of the minutes of all of the transactions, put together timelines, reviewed all the contracts, the buy-sell agreements, everything. And he did a phenomenal job.
Did he cry hard reading them because it was.
The work that they, I'd like to also thank you, your finance department, for all the work you did on this. He did do an audit, but boy, did he engage you a lot.
Okay, thank you.
Yes,
Mr. Lewis, Veteran Services.
Okay. At the last
you're welcome.
week, or
Thank you.
last week when we brought this, they do want to, they have approved a 6-year agreement, which we had a conversation with Mr. Roof, myself and Kathy last Wednesday, got clarification and understanding of what our grant agreement means, which I truly believe Mr. Roof had a better understanding of what it is we were looking for. He felt much more comfortable with working with us. We think the 6-year agreement is to our advantage because all the terms and conditions are the same, including the price. So we're locked in for the next 6 years for these valuable services to the veterans of Leelanau County. And they are, Grand Traverse County veterans are ready to serve us. There we go.
Commissioner Lautner.
I move that the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners approve an agreement between Leelanau County and the Grand Traverse County Veterans Affairs from January 1, 2025 through December 21, 2030 in an annual cost of $56,618. If said agreement is the desire of the Grand Traverse County Veterans Affairs Committee, the prior motion board action on this agreement from November 19, 2024 is rescinded and replaced with this motion.
Or
31.
31st, and that's the December.
It is a little one.
It is 6 years. We'll make sure the date's correct before we sign it and send it.
It's okay with the motion
Starts for
maker.
25.
I didn't know that was the end of some strange. Okay.
30.
So it's
31.
31.
25.
Are we ready to vote on that?
Should be 30. It should be 30. It's 30.
Got that?
It's 30.
Got that, Jen?
December 20.
Oh, yeah, it should be December
Oh,
30.
I just probably had that. Yep, that's a
I
typo.
didn't see that.
I'll change that to a 3 on your cheat sheet. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
All those in support of that motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion approved 6-0. Thank you. And is this you or is this a health officer?
The next one, Kathy's probably more familiar with this one, but it seems that through our medical marijuana license.
You want me?
We go, let's-
Okay, I'll take it off. Leelanau Health brought it to our attention that there is money allocated to Leelanau County through an application process. The money is from MMMP registry cards. And in this was to renew for 25. There were 109 applications, 51 renewals, 160 cards are held by residents of the county, generating $13,154 available to Leelanau County for use. And Benzie Leelanau Health Department is reaching out to see if we're interested in partnering with them to provide marijuana education and outreach with this grant money. They currently manage grant money for Benzie County under very similar, and Benzie's money is probably on here as well. Looks like they get about 14,000. And it would be a partnership with them if you want them to pursue this grant money.
So I mean, if I read this, it's basically the money is there for us. All we have to do is say, yes, we'll take it. And it's for educational purposes, for substance abuse or things like that. So I mean, it seems silly not to accept it if it's ours and all you gotta do is.
Got it right.
So, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, please.
I move that the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners approve that Leelanau County partner with Benzie Leelanau District Health Department to write the grant application and apply for the marijuana operation and oversight grant to develop initiatives, provide lock boxes and education to community members, encouraging safe storage of substances, and authorize the chairman to sign the application.
Support.
Any discussion? All those in support of that motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion approved 5-1. And I'd like to introduce Dan Thorell. He's been here before, but he's the new full-time health officer for the Leelanau Benzie Leelanau Health Department. Hi, Dan.
Hi, thank you.
How'd we do?
You did great. And thank you, Richard, and thank you, Kathy, for turning this around and doing this late edition on this particular grant. I brought it to them, I think, a week ago. So hats off to you. Appreciate that. Thought it was a good opportunity for Leelanau County. We've done it in Benzie County for a couple years now, or we're going to be doing it. We did it last year. We're doing it this next year too. And just think it's a really good program because, you know, with all these dispensaries around and access to marijuana products that are just not, you know, people smoking it. They have these products that look like candy, and really, it's really important to secure this stuff so kids don't get access to it. And we did find that there is kind of a little side benefit of senior citizens or anybody really that has opioid substances, you know, prescribed opioid substances, to actually secure those as well. So, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, so let me answer the question I had about the locked boxes. I was thinking on a larger scale. So are these the possibility of providing locked boxes to those who have one of these cards and would lock it within their own personal home, or opioids the same way? So
Yeah, I think I understand your question. It's a personal lock box. There's actually a locking bag or a lock box. And yes, it would be used in their home to secure those substances, whether it's marijuana that they have, or opioids or whatever.
Or any medication.
Or any medication, and to secure that, so it just limits access, you know, to kids and youth. So
Thank you very much for coming tonight.
yeah, and appreciate it. I'll be back to introduce myself to new commissioners in January. So looking forward to seeing you all again, or some of you again then. And I'll see you, I think, until March 31st. So.
Thank you, Dan.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it.
You just had to say that.
Okay. Kathy, we're back to you with review of financials.
No, we have county five-year plan.
Oh, we do, and I'm sorry.
Oh, okay, okay.
I won't get.
Commissioner Retro?
I move that the Leelanau County Board of Commissioners approve the final draft of the 2025-2029 Leelanau County 5-year community parks and recreation plan.
Support.
Any discussion?
Just want to, next month, there will be a resolution that has to be adopted, and that's what we'll be sending to the state. And but we'll have that from the Parks and Rec Commission board on your January 7th. So before you see it.
So a voice vote on this will work.
Correct.
All those in support of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Not my January 7th.
Motion approved, 6-0. Thank you very much. We now down our review of financials. Kathy's here.
You do have late in front of you, and there is one that I bring it to your attention. We had an emergency repair on the walk-in refrigerator at the jail. Well, it's a room, if you think about a walk-in refrigerator, you know, like you see on television, with a big door, and so they had to take components out of it, and it literally it crashed. So emergency repair, that's in that group. And I don't remember anything else really extraordinary.
Now, I just got a quick question on, from a Roman wheel, it was in late, page 5, it was, it says a meeting, but it doesn't say training. So that's my question, was that a training?
This is the meeting that Matt holds with all of the emergency responders in the county. It's the fire chiefs and, yeah.
Okay, and so the emergency management money covers the,
Mhm.
yep, okay, all right.
One time he made pizzas.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, from Nancy.
Any other questions?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, one other, I think it was in late, page 13, well, we have a maintenance, it was IT for Tyler Tech, it's page 13, it was Tyler Tech maintenance, and I think it was several $1,000s. Is that by contract? I just didn't remember that name.
This is late,
I
okay.
think it was just in late.
No technology should be in the register of deeds.
It is Tyler Technology, yeah,
Okay.
that is, and that is their maintenance fee.
Okay,
Mhm.
for annual maintenance fees,
Mhm.
okay, all right. Thank you.
Anything else for Kathy?
A lot of indigent.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
Travis, yep.
Well, more than him, there's like 3 or 4 different.
Four of them.
Yeah, holy cow.
Thank you, Kathy.
Okay,
Did you want to go over the, anything particular? I just glanced at these, I didn't see anything particular in the amendments.
you want to do that under approval of financials?
If you want,
It's up to the chair.
Yeah, let's do it.
okay.
Approved. Thank you. We're now down to special reports by staff or commissioners or agencies. Anything? Okay. We now have public comment. If you'd like to speak to the Board of Commissioners, please raise your hand. We'll call on you. You have 5 minutes to speak to us about anything that you think we need to hear. Yes, Mr. Jen.
There's two quick issues. Formerly Chet Janik, Elmwood Township. On the employment contract, section 13, article F on page 9 has a clause in there that says modification, amendments, and waivers of any provision in this agreement may be made with the written mutual consent of both parties. So that's the date.
That'll cover your.
Yeah, so just, thank you.
Okay.
But more importantly, I want to just tell a story about Commissioner Lautner, since it's her last meeting in 30 years here. Think back to December 30 years ago, 1994. I was sitting in the president's office at Northwestern Michigan College, and we we're talking about greater partnerships in the counties. And we started talking, who can we talk to in Leelanau County? And I suggested, well, there's a brand new commissioner that was elected. She'll take office in January of 95. Let's have lunch with her. So the president and I called Commissioner Lautner and Mr. Gettler, Bernie Gettler. And we had dinner at Schweitzer's. I don't know if you remember that, luncheon, and you were just about to take office. So I got to work with this lady for 30 years. Fast forward, when I was thinking about becoming or applying for this position as administrator, I didn't know whether I should do it or not. I was in Charlevoix as superintendent, so I called Melinda for some advice. And yep, we met at Roma's, and she didn't give me an answer, but just kind of gave me the pros and cons of the job and outview, which I really appreciated. I was honored to get the job, and a lot of issues came forward that, looking back, Commissioner Lauter was correct on. One is the Leland property. She told me, look at the past records. There were some mistakes made in that property. She was not getting the support from the board, but we looked at it, got legal counsel, and we did almost lose that property, but you were correct about your assessment there. The other one, big thing I remember is the icicle. Every year when we had snow, there literally was an icicle hanging from the top of the building to the floor every winter. Commissioner Lauter came up and says the building was not built right. She tried for 4 years to argue that point. We checked into it. We brought in a consultant and it wasn't built right and there wasn't insulation. And we threatened a lawsuit and the company came, even though they said they wouldn't do it, fixed it at no cost to the county. And it wouldn't have happened unless Commissioner Lauter spoke up. I also think of the senior services, Commission on Aging. We had some major issues I won't go into, but Commissioner Lauter was the only one that came and spoke out to me publicly and privately that we need to make some changes, and she was correct. And then the one that wasn't sexy but saved us a lot of money is switching from bottled gas to natural gas. We had a contract for bottled gas that was written by the company that was one-sided. Commissioner Lauter for about 2 years tried to go forward with that, got nowhere. We looked at it, did some research. We were able to switch from bottled gas to natural gas. The payback was going to be 5 years. We got our money back in 2.5 years. And it also brought natural gas on Duck Lake Road. There wasn't natural gas here. It was because DTE was going to make the changes here that they decided to put natural gas between here and Lake Leelanau, also allow those homes benefited. So that's why I enjoyed working with you. We didn't always agree on things, but we always had great respect for each other. You always call me back when I had questions, and thank you for your 30 years of service. Just want to come and say thank you for that.
Any other public comment? Try to stop that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Hi, my name's Heather Duran. I've been coming up to Leelanau County since the late 60s. I used to rent from Kay Whitney, or my parents did. And now I'm a resident here in Leelanau County. I'm coming here out of frustration right now. I will explain my situation and my objective and end with a question. Well, my situation is I hired a roofing company who is in Traverse City, who are licensed and advertised here. They came out, did my roof, paid them in cash in full, and called the code enforcement for some of my concerns. And my roof was done incorrectly and incompletely, and it does not meet code in several ways. So if nothing is done, my roof will be ruined, my home will be ruined. So I've reached out to the company multiple times. The person who installed my roof, or my contractor, has ghosted me, no communication back. Turns out he used somebody else's license, Dream Dream Roofing, excuse me, I'm a little nervous. And it's another guy who owns the company, and he's still out there, and he's a premier contractor company here who does work here. Long story short, I found out the charlatan who's did my roof has done a lot of other roofs in the area and has left them incomplete, including projects for Habitat for Humanity. So I found out what I need to do as a citizen here in Leelanau County. Go to the Code of Enforcement building or team, building safety, fill out all their forms, put in a complaint. I had one of the enforcers go out to my house. He said, yeah, it's not complete. Your roof will fail unless something is done. It doesn't meet code. Okay. So they said the next person I talked to, Amber, I believe, who's in charge of that department of building safety, said, we'll go file a complaint with the state of Michigan. So I did that. I went through all the hoops they asked me to do. Photographs, you know, the money that was given, and they are currently investigating it. My I also asked the question, well, what does Leelanau County Court Enforcement do if a code isn't met on a contract? And they say, well, we don't really enforce. And I go, well, why do you have a code enforcement office if you don't enforce? And I was not verbatim, but the essence of what I was told was that was outside of their jurisdiction. So the code enforcement, which usually have permits, you get a permit, they enforce that, what they've done, their contract. But if it's not done, Leelanau County does nothing. What I was told anyway. So I'm in a situation now where if I don't do something myself, and wait for the state of Michigan to take over what the county enforcers of Leelanau County are supposed to be doing, enforcing these codes, that I have to go buy a new roof myself, which I just paid for one in cash this fall. So my question is, what does Leelanau County do? Why do they have a code enforcement office if nobody enforces? Okay. And the second thing I just wanted to bring up is they stopped requiring permits for roofs. So nobody checks them out. Any charlatan can come up and put up a roof, no matter, if it's incorrect, incomplete, and nobody will enforce it. So I would like to get the Leelanau County to reinstate permits for roofing contracts, which that's not currently happening in Leelanau County. I don't know if I need to request for be on the agenda to go through and fight for these things. I don't know. I'm just trying.
Thank you for your question and comment, and we'll
Yeah.
have somebody get back to you.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you for your time.
Any other public comment? Mr. Mikowski?
That's exactly.
Good evening. This is the last regular meeting of this commission, so I want to thank all of you for serving. It's supposed to be a fun job, but there are so many things that are pushed towards you that it's difficult to focus on what we should be doing, dispassionate thinking, and we are many times forced to do emotional thinking. And therefore, decisions made for the public are sometimes questionable. I want to thank particularly Melinda Lauter, who has served for 30 years. I commend her for being steadfast at asking questions in spite of all the, I guess, quivers full of errors that used to come her way sometimes for asking questions. So I appreciate all that. I want to ask a question. It's my recollection that when these two buildings were built, the county administrator's salary was $50,000, and Melinda would know this. Is that correct? We gave that administrator a $10,000 raise to handle the building of these two buildings. If I heard the salary right today the salary is $127,000. The population of this county has not changed at all in those years. But we don't care about statistics, do we? We can always blame the government for its inflation, and we have nothing to do with it. So, and the other thing is the Leelanau buildings, the 1 acre by the river, we have a aversion or an avoidance for accountability on that issue. And again, it's one of those big things that stand out. One other point is, I think Melinda was still here when Mr. Riant was a meeting visitor almost every time, and whenever the commissioners moved in the direction that didn't make too much sense for him, he was in court with them immediately. And he was the watchdog that I can never be. as he had the skill of managing attorneys. Further, I'm here to ask again a request. There'll be one more meeting at least, that the clerk loading motion made on May 21st, May 11th, 2021, that this commission redeem themselves to some degree by providing a resolution indicating that they apologize for the wasting of approximately $1 million of taxpayers' money, and also to apologize to the clerk and to other people for the way they've been treated through this whole episode, because it's been very evident for the last 2 years and 7 or 8 months that the process was without any plan. And even so, the administrator who is here in this room today at that time said the motion was a fiasco. Again, we need to pass on some of this valuable information to the future commissions to use that as a learning curve to find ways that when these things are approached, that a commission early in its tenure can say, we're not going there. Time to do that was on January 1, 2023. Again, I want to thank you all for serving and for being open to the public. And I also expect the new commission to provide more attention to public comment and not restrict it. Merry Christmas. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Any other public comment? Yes, Mr. Yoder.
Steve Yoder, Solon Township. No, I just wanted to take this time to thank Commissioner Rexroad, Cameron Ross, and Rookie for your service to the county here. And I look forward to serving with Ty and Gwen here. And Commissioner Lautner, I just want to thank you for your 30 years of service to the county. I always joke with people that he first got elected when I was about 3 years old before I could hardly walk. So, but no, hats off to you. You stood firm on a lot of issues, and I know I can't fill your shoes, but I certainly respect you for everything you stood for, and look forward to continue being neighbors and working with you. So thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Anybody else? Want to thank you for coming tonight and please come back. It's now time for commissioner comment, and I think we need to start with one of the commissioners that are not going to return next year. So Commissioner Lautner, Commissioner Rexroad, Commissioner O'Rourke, Commissioner Ross, what would you like to tell us?
Well, I certainly wouldn't know where to begin, and I don't think there will be enough time.
I bet we'll still hear from you.
Perhaps. Thank you for the kind chat. Thank you, especially for your kind words, because I want to say there were years of frustration where you nailed it. I couldn't get anybody to look at things that were blatant in your face problems in the county. And when we hired Chet went after him and got him done and saved this county a lot of money, because he would do what one commissioner I know cannot do. And so I don't deserve all the credit for that. Chet did go to work and get those things done. So.
Commissioner Rexroad?
Yeah, it's been a privilege to work with all of you here on the board. I thank the voters of my district for putting faith in me to allow me to serve. This is not an easy job. We don't agree up here on everything, but everyone who does this, it's a big commitment. So whether you're on the same page or an opposite page, I appreciate everyone who shows up. Everyone does what they think they're doing for the best of this county. No one up here has any ill intentions. So it's just been a pleasure to serve with all of you guys. And I'd like to tell you I'll miss being here. But I can't honestly say that. But thank you all for being who you are and serving on this board. I thank all the public for the input you have. And I think you got a great board coming in. So Thanks, and thanks, Guy, for working with you.
Thank you.
I'd just like to say it's been an honor to serve the good people of Centerville and Leland Township. And the decisions that we make today should result in a sustainable world where everybody in this county thrives. And I hope that the decisions that this new board considers the beauty of the natural resources and thinking 7 generations out. So well-informed and engaged citizens are out there listening, they're watching, and including me, and I wish them the best. Thank you.
Commissioner O'Rourke.
Well, one person, one day, one vote. I've enjoyed this tremendously. One of my coworkers told me one day that's the difference between intelligence and knowledge, and that's always elect people on the board that has common sense, knowledge, that's been there, experience. You don't do it for the money, you know, you represent a lot of people. I came to Leelanau County in 1977. I owned half of a Ford pickup and had to sleep in it the first week, okay? So I've been here a long time and I enjoy the county. I love the county. You take ownership of it. And just like all these people here, you know, we care about the county and that's why what it is. Thank you.
Anybody else for commissioner comment? Yes.
I want to thank everyone. This has been, what I talk about in working with all of you for the last 2 years is that we work together. And that's huge. So it has been a joy to work with all of you. I'm sorry to see a lot of you go. I want to thank all of you for showing up. I know these meetings aren't very riveting. So thank you for your interest, for showing up, for speaking to us. We need to know what you need because we work for you. And I want to thank the voters for sending me that.
Well, I want to thank everybody for putting up with me as chair of this last term. Melinda, you and I didn't always agree, but sometimes we did. And I'd rather serve with somebody that I can have disagreeable discussions with and know that we've looked at where all the problems are. And thank you for your contributions. Thank you.
Thank you. And I want to thank Mr. Lewis.
Oh, no, I haven't done anything but cost more.
For an exemplary job, for putting up with us. And thank you, Chet and Mr. Dyer, for working for our future.
Forget, I still got 90 more days.
I know you do.
Stir the pot.
Okay, on that note, Kathy, come back up.
Okay.
We have some financials to approve.
Sure. Merry Christmas, everybody.
This is your last shot at it, Melinda.
No, just, I don't see anything in the amendment. Is there anything well, I did have a couple quick questions. So the transfer out on the dam, are we, is that being done? Are we underway with that?
Well, you've approved a contract and we're just gonna move the money into the 805, so it's ready to go, whether it starts this year or next year. We're just getting the money there.
That's what you're doing. Okay. Okay. And then the childcare, it's the $10,000 change in childcare.
And that's the hospitalization. We're going to the governor's hard cap on our Blue Cross Blue Shield hospitalization.
Any others? Any others? So I would recommend, or I move to approve amendment number 24-016, 24-017. Did I say 26?
You got 16.
24-16, 24-17, 20, I thought I said 26. No, you did. Okay, 24-16, 24-17, 24-18.
Support.
All those in support of that motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion approved 6-0.
Move to approve transfer number 24-007.
All those in support of that motion say aye.
Aye.
Motion approved 6-0.
Move to approve claims and accounts, $415,802.57. More support.
All those in support of that motion say aye.
Aye. And post audit, $4,099,340.40.
All those in support of that motion say aye.
Aye.
We have one more motion.
Yeah, before I make that motion, I just like to advise our administrator who's making fun of my sweater. That one of my constituents, one who's happened to live in my house for the last 43 years. Says Coach Izzo has the Grinch sweater on tonight at the game, coaching the game. So just so you know, sweaters are appropriate in certain functions. So, motion to adjourn.
We are adjourned. Well, we had egg left over up here. I need people to help me eat it. Come on.
Guys work well.
Okay.